Hello, you guys. Welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Melissa, and I'm going to be talking about the most recent episode of Love is Blind. It aired, I'm not sure when it aired, but I looked at it today and I want to speak about it. So, if you guys paid attention to my first video when I spoke about my thoughts on Ramses and Marissa, I made it very clear when I said that Ramses is trying to let Marissa down gently. He's not feeling her like that. And he doesn't want to come across as the bad guy. So he's making little things an issue. Things that typically wouldn't bother someone who was head over heels in love with another person. He made it an issue because he just wanted to get out of this. And I brought the perspective of the fact that he has been married before and divorced and she hasn't. I think that experience jaded him and made him want to be more cautious. But at the same time, it's like, if you just came from, or if you have been married and you've been divorced, why would you come on a show like this? I don't think a show like this really, the basis of it, the way it's structured, it does not make for a long lasting relationship or marriage. So I don't know why you take that route. Love is Blind is a very risky route. You're literally deciding to marry a stranger, and having been jaded, I think it was weird that he made the choice that, okay, let me come on a show where I could potentially marry a stranger. That was weird logic to me. And Marissa even said to him, why did you do this show then? It's a valid question. There were so many other things he could have done. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have no problems dating in the real world. So why come on this show just to lead her on in the beginning? Because I think he did kind of lead her on. And then towards the end, I think when they came into reality, he started realizing, I don't know if I can do this. And it's crazy. So let's talk about it. So I wrote a couple notes, so you guys bear that in mind and wait for me a bit. Okay, so this is what I wrote. So these are how my notes are going to go. So first of all, Ramses and Marissa. It was a very heart-wrenching scene. I knew he was looking for a way out while she was all in, which is why I was afraid for her, because I'm like, it's not looking too good for Marissa here. He doesn't look like he's fully checked in. Nobody can convince you of something you already want to do. And I was referring to him talking about, oh, he spoke to people and they were telling him this and that. He already had those thoughts and he went to these people to validate his thoughts. I don't think he went to them to ask for advice per se. He went to them to validate his own issues that he was having, and they validated it for him, and that's all he needed. So she overlooked a lot of issues, thinking from a fairy tale perspective that love would conquer all. But him, having been through marriage, doesn't have those rose-colored glasses on, and he knows that marriage requires more than love to work. He just wasn't into her like that. According to him, it was her big personality. And I was like, maybe that along with some other things. And it scared him, her changing her mind about children, the birth control thing. I think all these things were just very minor issues. The bigger issue is he just wasn't ready to make such a huge decision with somebody he doesn't really know. And I think maybe initially it seemed doable, because remember the way this show is structured, you go from a very very high, how do I want to say this? You go from a very happy place emotionally, like you're on a high, the serotonin is on 100%, you're happy, you're in a fairy tale. So you go from thinking you've met your person to then going on a honeymoon. That honeymoon continues this high that you've been feeling. And when you get into the real world, it drops significantly because now I have to worry about work. I have to worry about bills. I have to worry about real life things. And I think that's when he realized that this relationship was not going to work for him. And she was still in it. She was still, oh, we're going to do this. And I feel like it appears like Marissa was blindsided, but I think she blinded her own self because there were subtle things that she kept ignoring just because she wanted that fairy tale ending. And it's unfortunate, but it happens to a lot of us where because we want this thing so much, we neglect very telltale signs that that other person might not be where we are. And instead of digging into, okay, why does this person have this hesitation? Why does this person the energy seems off? They go into, oh, that's just minor things. He's just feeling like a little bit of hesitation. That's perfectly normal. It's fine. We're still gonna get married. And when the person finally tells the truth and is like, well, actually, I don't want this. It's a shocking blow. It's a huge blow. It's painful and it's difficult. And I noticed that a lot of people now decided that all of a sudden Marissa's mom is not that bad. And it's like, I never thought she was bad. But people took it that way because at the time they liked Ramses. But the moment Ramses did something they didn't like, all of a sudden, oh, I'm not mad at the mom. Oh, I think he's gay and he's wearing a thong. And the insults are raining in. And I feel like it's very immature and unfair to resort to insulting somebody because you don't like the decision that they made. At the end of the day, Ramses made the decision that was right for him. It may not have been the decision you would have made. It may not have been the manner you would have done it in. But he did what was right for him given the circumstances he was in. And I cannot be angry with him for that. I'm very sorry for what happened to Marissa and that she didn't get the ending that she wanted. But at the same time, I cannot bash him for it. Accountability needs to be on both sides. As much as he maybe did not know how to break it to her and kind of stretched it out longer than it needed to be stretched out, she ignored a lot of things. And she has to suffer the consequences of her ignoring certain red flags. So let's go over to Tyler and Ashley. Now, watching this couple was just so cringy. I mean, if we didn't know this thing about Tyler, we would have received this episode completely differently. But the irony of her saying that she would kick her man to the curb for the smallest thing, but making allowances for this crazy situation is crazy. Her and Taylor were like, oh, typically we end the relationship when they do little things like these, but this is a different situation, so we need to give ourselves grace and we need to, give them time or whatever she was saying. And for, I don't know about Taylor's situation, but for Ashley, she should have absolutely kicked him to the curb. But hindsight is 2020. So she also makes mention of feeling safe with Tyler, which is also crazy knowing what we know. She referenced her dad not being the best person to look up to in regard to how he treated her mom and her not watching or wanting that for her relationship. This is probably why the dad couldn't grill Tyler much. He wasn't shit either as a young man. He shouldn't be happy. He should be happy that she's even giving him the honor of walking her halfway down the aisle. Because again, he wasn't ish as a father and husband. So the way she decided to do it, typically the father walks the bride all the way down the aisle, but the way she did it was the father would walk her halfway and the mother would take over and walk her the rest of the way. And I think that was a lot of symbolism in response to the way she was raised. She was raised predominantly by her mother. And I feel like it was a situation where the father kind of abandoned his family, which is ironic because Tyler literally did the same thing. But the father abandoned the family and she was raised in a single household. And later on, the father came back around. But as she said, the mother did the heavy lifting. So the dad should be happy that he even got an opportunity to walk her down the aisle. So it appears like he left her mom, as I said, at some point to raise her on her own. It's interesting how we think we turn out fine given our problematic childhoods when we encounter trauma as a child, as I said, until we have to make life choices and make horrible ones, or ones that tie us to what we saw but swear we didn't want, right? Ashley says the only thing that would make her not say yes is if something catastrophic happens in the next few hours. And she also said, my intuition is insane, as she goes to make the biggest mistake of her life. He's 100%. I wonder if, so because he said he's 100% and was worried if Ashley would be 100% too. And I said, I wonder if this is the friend he was having threesomes with because he liked seeing his partner getting screwed by other men. I mean, that's tea by day, Sean. I don't know if that's, and that's the same man that was defending him on TikTok. So I don't know. The mother is like, Tyler has done the regular dating thing and it's never worked. And in my mind, I'm like, could it be that it never worked because he was a cheater? Because he definitely cheated on his fiancée. And I'm pretty sure that's why their relationship fell through. So is it not working out in real life because of other people or because of your son? Now, we find out that he did not have a relationship with his father because he's like, I mean, I don't particularly care if he doesn't show up to my wedding because I don't really know him. And that was very telling, and it proves that he didn't have a proper male figure in his life. So he was just doing it how he thought he knew how to do it. He gave a lot of, and I think there was a comment that said he gave a lot. The mother told him, you always giving a lot to everybody and yeah, you deserve this and so on. And I'm like, he gave a lot of sperm. That's what he gave. And the dad who was walking Ashley down the aisle gave us some very, in my opinion, bad advice. And that advice was just stick in it, good or bad. And I was like, what? Why are you telling your daughter that she should stay in horrible situations? I think it's because her dad was such a bad father and husband, and maybe he wanted Ashley's mother to stick by him, and she wasn't willing to do so and tolerate the disrespect. So she separated from him, and maybe it messed him up. But at the end of the day, you cannot put that burden on a woman to tolerate you and your disrespect just because, I guess, she married you or just because she had a child with you. I think it's too much to ask for from a woman, and it's too much to ask for from your daughter to stay with a man that is no good. I forgot to add the result of Ashley and Tyler's union. If you're here, you already know that they did get married, so there's that. As of if they're still married, I have no idea, but I feel like they still are. People are saying that they think that they had the discussion about the children behind the scenes, but in front of the camera they made it extremely vague. Now, the only issue I have with that is if that was the case and Ashley knew the entirety of the drama, I just highly doubt she would tolerate and stay with him. I just don't think she would, which is why I push back on that perspective a lot. But if she did know and had this man away for, well, technically nobody knows how much Tyler told her. Because if he insists that he's a sperm donor, then she wouldn't expect him to go visit the children. But if he came clean and said these are really my children, I highly doubt Ashley would encourage him to stay away from his children for a whole year. So that I don't know of. I really don't have much to say about Tyler and Steven. No, Tyler and Garrett, because their relationship was unproblematic for the most part. Their biggest issue was Garrett lying about replying to the ex. They got over it, they moved forward, they got married. Nobody's shocked. I don't think anyone is surprised, because I don't think there is no way the mother-in-law would be so active on a man's page if he did not marry her daughter. Right? So there's that. So there's nothing much for me to say about Tyler and Garrett. People always say that they are rooting for the unproblematic couples, but to me, I find the unproblematic couples to be boring. Like, I really don't particularly care for their situation, to be completely honest with you. It's kind of like when a child becomes self-sufficient, the mother backs off them a bit more. Like, okay, she can brush her own teeth, she can take her own showers, she can wash her own hair, she can cook her own meals. The parent steps back. But when it's a problematic child, the parent steps in more, because that child needs more help. I think it's the same thing. When you see a couple that's unproblematic and you think they're gonna be fine, you don't stay in their business because they can handle it. But when you see a couple that appears problematic, you want to fix it. You want it to be fine, or you want them to separate, or you want something to happen that makes the situation better. It's just human life, it's human nature. Anyways, you guys, let me know what you thought about the final episode. Two couples got married. Let me know what you think about both of the couples. And see you guys next time. Until the reunion. Bye.